Hi readers, it's Miss Sarah here. Before we get started on today's lesson, I want you to think, who are some of your favorite characters? Maybe you really love Elsa from Frozen. Maybe one of your favorite characters is Black Panther. Maybe one of your favorite characters is Pete the cat from some of the books we've read right here at school. Well, today I want to teach you that something good readers do is they are always learning more about the characters in their story. And here are some ways we can do that. So we can always learn more about our character by thinking, what are some things they say or do as we read? As we take note of what they're saying and doing, we can also learn, what do our characters like? What do they dislike? Getting to know our characters is so important, perhaps one of the most important things that we can do as readers. So today I have a little story for you, Frog and Toads Are Friends by Arnold Lobel. And as I read, I want you to think, what are some things that you're learning about the character Toad? So find a comfy spot, make sure you can see the screen, and let's get ready to read. Frog and Toad Are Friends. We're going to read the first chapter, Spring, because it is spring right now here in Philadelphia, so this is the perfect chapter to read. Frog ran up the path to Toad's house. He knocked on the front door. There was no answer. Toad, Toad, shouted Frog. Wake up, it is spring. Blah, said a voice from inside the house. Toad, Toad, cried Frog. The sun is shining, the snow is melting. Wake up. I am not here, said the voice. So there's Frog, and he must be knocking on Toad's house. Frog walked into the house. It was dark. All the shutters were closed. Toad, where are you? Called Frog. Go away, said the voice from a corner in the room. Toad was lying in bed. He pulled all the covers over his head. Frog pushed Toad out of bed. He pushed him out of the house and on to the front porch. Toad blinked in the bright sun. Help, said Toad. I cannot see anything. All right, readers, let's think back to some things that our character Toad has done or said so far in our story. Well, the first thing was he said, blah, when his friend Frog showed up, which is not very nice. I don't know. He's probably quite sleepy, I guess. I say some things that are not super nice when I'm tired too. Another thing that Toad says to Frog is when he says, where are you? He says, go away. And then he very dramatically says, help, I can't see anything, when Frog pushes him out onto the porch. So right now, Frog is wanting to stay in bed. He keeps pulling the covers over himself. And he's pretending like he's not really there. So one thing we've learned is that he has a friend named Frog, and he's being very lazy. Let's keep reading to learn more. Don't be silly, said Frog. What you see is the clear, warm light of April, and it means we can begin a whole new year together, Toad. Think of it, said Frog. We will skip through the meadows and run through the woods and swim in the river. In the evenings, we will sit right here on the front porch and count the stars. You can count them, Frog, said Toad. I will be too tired. I am going back to bed. Toad went back into the house. He got into the bed and he pulled the covers over his head again. But Toad, cried Frog, you will miss all the fun. Listen, Frog, said Toad. How long have I been asleep? You have been asleep since November. said Frog. Well then, said Toad, a little more sleep will not hurt me. Come back and wake me up in about 1/2 past May. Good night, Frog. But Toad, said Frog, I will be lonely until then. Toad did not answer. He had fallen asleep. Frog looked at Toad's calendar. The November page was still on top. So Frog tore off the November page. He tore off the December page, and the January page, and the February page, and the March page. He came to the April page. Frog tore off the April page too. So here's Frog looking at the calendar, and here he is tearing off all those pages. Then Frog ran back into Toad's bed. Toad, Toad, wake up! It is May now. What? Said Toad. Can it be May so soon? Yes, said Frog. Look at your calendar. Toad looked at the calendar. The May page was on top. Why, it is May, said Toad as he climbed out of bed. Then he and Frog ran outside to see how the world was looking in spring. And that's the end of our first chapter, Spring. So Miss Sarah already talked about some things that Toad did or said in the book. When I say go, I want you to think, what are some things that Toad said, did, and what are some of his likes and dislikes based on the first chapter, Spring? Ready? Go. Awesome, friends. I see so many flashing light bulbs. Some of the likes you might have, or let's go back to what he says and does first. So some of you might have said, well, one thing Toad does is when Frog pushes him onto the porch, he gets back under the covers and he says, wake me up when it's May. That's one thing he does and said. Another thing that he does and says when Frog tricks him and he says, it's actually May, when he pulls off all those pages on his calendar, Toad says it is, and he hops out of bed. That's another thing that he does. So what does that tell us he likes? He likes and he doesn't like. Some things Toad really likes right now is he loves to sleep, right? He says that. He'd rather sleep. Some things he doesn't like is doesn't like being woken up when he's sleepy, right? Even if it's by a friend he really cares about. So those are some things that we've learned about Toad. Now it's your turn. When you read your books today, readers, I want you to learn more about your characters by thinking about what they do, say, like, and dislike. Have fun getting to know those exciting characters, and I'll see you again soon.